Hey everyone, welcome to Big Flick Energy. So recently, David Zaslav, head of Warner Bros. Discovery, said that he's gonna make up this DC plan for the next 10 years where they're gonna release a ton of films, a ton of shows under this new area called DC Studios. They're trying to find their own Kevin Feige for this group, and they want this to deal more with bigger characters in the franchise and just be what DC should be. So obviously recently a ton of this Warner Brothers news has not been good, but I do think the DC 10-year plan news was incredible and I can't wait to see it. So in this video, I'm going to talk about my take on what that 10-year plan should be. So this is really long because I'm going to have to do little descriptions for each of these movies that I have ideas for. And I don't know if you remember, I made a Spider-Man video a couple months ago talking about what I think the next Spider-Man trilogy should be. That video was about like 15 minutes long, if I remember, and it was just 3 films. So I'm gonna cut this video into 2 parts where I'm gonna do the first half and it's gonna go up until Justice League Part 2. And then the next part is gonna deal with the last part, which is basically Phase 3 in Marvel terms. It's gonna deal with that in the next video. So I'm gonna do 2 shows a year, 3 films a year. So here we go. So starting off, we have Black Adam in 2022. That one's obvious. Next, we go to 2023. We have Shazam! Fury of the Gods, The Flash, which I mentioned previously. In The Flash, I believe that Michael Keaton will no longer be the DCEU Batman after that film, like previously reported. I think Ben Affleck is going to stay as that character. I recommend you watch that video because I do go deep into why I think that's going to happen. Then the next film is Blue Beetle, then Peacemaker Season 2, and then Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So that's going to close off 2023 with Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. And now we move into 2024 where I start to have some creative control. So the first project is going to be The Penguin Season 1, which I have no control over. I think Matt Reeves has a good plan with this. I like what he's done with this universe so far with the Batman, which has been its only project, but I trust him. I loved him with Planet of the Apes, and I think he's going to do great with this project. So for projects in that Matt Reeves universe, I give full control to Matt Reeves. The next project is going to be Static Shock, which is officially in the works. So what I think this project should be is a coming-of-age origin story with Batman as a mentor, where he takes on the meta breed, which are these Static Shock antagonists. So the film will end with Batman telling Static Shock he has a friend that can help him learn how to use his powers better, and then Shazam is going to show up with that. So I think that this is kind of going to set up eventually Shazam and Static Shock teaming up. You're going to have Static Shock show up in Shazam 3, which will come in the future. So the next project is going to be Wonder Woman Forbidden Land, which is Wonder Woman Part 3. So this film is going to show Wonder Woman returning to Themyscira after the events of Justice League, where at the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League, she picks up the arrow of Artemis and she looks over the horizon, which is sort of trying to allude to her going back to Themyscira, so that's what this film is going to cover. So she returns, and she returns to a warm welcome. But another character attempts to come to the island in an Eric Killmonger from Black Panther-like fashion, and this character is going to be Grail, the daughter of Darkseid and Marina. Marina is from Themyscira, so it's trying to tie in the larger DCEU and the smaller scale with the Wonder Woman story. So she says that she is the heir to the throne of Themyscira with the death of Hippolyta, where she kills Hippolyta. And she's basically the polar opposite of Wonder Woman and simultaneously her equal, where they have a lot of the same abilities, and she's going to be probably Wonder Woman's largest threat thus far because she not only challenges who Wonder Woman is as a character, but also her home. So in this film, we're going to see Hippolyta die at Grail's hands, but Wonder Woman will eventually kill Grail in this film. At the end of the film, we found out her origin as Darkseid's daughter, and are left with Themyscira wondering if Darkseid sent her. So the next project is going to be Bloodsport Season 1. I think you should give James Gunn control over this show the same way that you give Matt Reeves control, but I do think you should include Ratcatcher and King Shark in the show, maybe even Harley, who knows. And I think eventually in the show we should see Ratcatcher kind of have like this arc where she decides, you know what, maybe I want to become a hero. I'm not too fond of what Bloodsport is doing with his tools. and then you'll also have to see King Shark make a decision of which side he chooses. So the next project is Joker Folie, Deux, which I think once again you just give Todd Phipps control. I think he's doing great with the first Joker movie, and this cast is pretty good so far, so let's see what happens. The next project, which starts off 2025, is going to be Green Lantern Corps Season 1. So this is a show that's been in the works for a long time, and what I think it should be is an anthology series of different Green Lanterns, including Kyle Rayner, Alan Scott, Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner, Sodam Yat, Kilowog, and more. What I think should eventually happen is we have a post-credit scene in the final episode that it will tease Jon Stewart's Green Lantern. And this will all eventually lead into a Green Lantern film where we'll see some of these other Green Lantern characters again. So next off, we have Man of Steel 2. So it's going to be the Man of Steel sequel that everybody's been waiting for, which starts off with a Justice League threat. So we see some members from the team, but Superman takes the threat, a Khund warrior, to space, as these characters are an alien race that can implode and destroy planets with the blast radius if they absorb too much energy from a yellow sun. The Khund is about to explode until Superman takes him far away to a galaxy without a yellow sun, as Green Lantern tells him this is the only way to stop one of these, but also that he has no idea how one just wandered up on Earth, as this race has not been seen for years. They were thought to be extinct. So Superman returns after leaving the Khund on a planet with a red sun. This makes Superman have to travel back to Earth more slowly without the same abilities, because a red sun weakens Superman. When he arrives, there is no Earth, and Hal Jordan pops up to tell Superman they couldn't stop this intergalactic threat known as Brainiac, who collects planets. Hal tells Superman he can show him where the ship is, but he cannot leave his sector alone, as he must protect the other planets from potential threats like Brainiac. In the meantime, Superman will chase down the ship and has to defeat Brainiac. He eventually does defeat Brainiac, and towards the end of the film has a crisis of whether Brainiac had it right in terms of protecting planets from larger threats or not, especially with what happened to his home planet of Krypton, but eventually brings the ship back to Earth and returns the planet. He returns a ton of planets back to their rightful places in the universe, and at the end of the film we see some Justice League members board the ship, which is now in orbit, as Cyborg connects himself to the ship to learn everything Brainiac knew. The members aboard then say this ship will help them protect the world, and they call it the Watchtower, which, at least for me, I love the Justice League animated show, so to bring the Watchtower into this universe is going to be great. So the next project is Peacemaker Season 3, which once again, you give James Gunn control. Next project, Batman 2, give Matt Reeves control. Now we move on to Black Canary. So I think what this film should deal with is Mad Hatter kidnapping women throughout Gotham, and Black Canary seeks to catch this maniac. This Mad Hatter is inspired by the Arkham games Mad Hatter, and this film is another smaller scale story told in Gotham. She still hangs out with Cassandra Cain and has started training her in how to fight to defend herself. But her getting kidnapped is the final straw for Black Canary to find the Mad Hatter and finally take him down. When Canary saves her, her tongue has been ripped out and she can no longer speak. At the end of the film, we see Black Canary get arrested, and Amanda Waller asks her if she wants to join her Suicide Squad to set her up for an appearance in the next year's The Suicide Squad sequel. So now we move on to 2026, starting with Blue Beetle 2. So Blue Beetle is becoming his own hero, and he's sort of become the Spider-Man of this universe, where he's the friendly neighborhood hero that everybody around knows, and he helps take on smaller threats. But here he is faced with an antagonist who matches him in the form of Black Beetle, which is actually a huge character for Blue Beetle to fight. Eventually he will defeat Black Beetle, and the end credits show Hal Jordan coming to Blue Beetle to tell him of how dangerous this power of his truly is, and to explain it to him, along with teasing what may come to pass in the future with an intergalactic war involving other Beetles and the Lanterns as intergalactic turmoils are rising. So the next project will be Arkham Season 1, which is another project that is apparently in the works, and it's part of the Matt Reeves universe, so once again, give Matt Reeves control. The next project is Lex, which is going to be a Lex Luthor film, and it's going to be like another DC Black Label story similar to the Joker film, which delves deep into the mind of Lex Luthor and what makes him tick and why he's willing to risk everything to destroy Superman. So I think for now, this film should take place in its own universe. Maybe eventually down the road, they can say it takes place in the Matt Reeves universe or just in the Joker universe. But for now, it can be in its own universe. And I think maybe Todd Phillips can have control, but it would be really cool to see another person have control of this film and tell their own individual story. So the next project is going to be Constantine Season 1, or John Constantine Season 1, since Constantine was already a show. So This series is going to follow Constantine investigating cases of demons popping up until he finds out it is Anton Arcane. The show has a good amount of cameos from characters like Dr. Fate, Lucifer, who will be confirmed through this film that his show is DCEU canon, even though Arrowverse said that it's not, but the Arrowverse kind of also said that the DCEU is gone after the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths, so I don't really consider that canon at this point. I don't really know what to say of that. What I do think is we should also bring in Madam X to this show, which Madam X is another project in development that I'll get to later. So Constantine will defeat Arcane. At the end of the show, Fate will pop up again to speak to Constantine about how he needs to recruit a team for a future threat, and Constantine is at first reluctant, saying the world already has the Justice League, to which Fate says the Justice League cannot handle this threat. They need a team to handle the dark arts, to which Constantine says he's willing to do, but he's going to choose who can join his Justice League dark team. Next project is going to be Shazam versus Black Adam. So I'm very excited for this project, because I think it's finally going to be the combination of these two characters facing off. So in this film, we will finally see the battle between Shazam and Black Adam. And the film will start off with Shazam and Static Shock being good friends, talking about how Batman never would have told Shazam to mentor him if he knew he was just a kid. The film shows Black Adam be tempted by Mr. Mind to fight Shazam. Eventually, after the fight comes to a standstill, Static Shock and the Shazam family come in to stop it, to expose the real threat they had been looking into through the course of the film, Mr. Mind and Dr. Savannah. The film then goes into a Black Adam and Shazam team up, and they defeat the main threats of the film. But this is where it sort of takes a turn from Batman vs. Superman or Godzilla vs. Kong, where it's the two characters eventually become friends at the end. This is not that. So after the threat is defeated, we think the film is over until we see Black Adam throw a punch, which leads to a dialogue where Black Adam states, even though Mr. Mind was behind everything, it doesn't make what he said any less true, that the original Shazam wants Black Adam gone and will make his successor do it. So Shazam and Black Adam are not done fighting. He declares only one of them can survive this battle. They fight to the death, and Shazam is actually going to die. Static Shock then tries to attack Black Adam, but Adam absorbs the attack and punches Shock, knocking him out. The end of the film will have a memorial for Billy Batson and another for Shazam. The end credit will show Lex Luthor arriving in Kahndaq to tell Black Adam that the heroes of Earth will be after him after killing Shazam, and he'll need help. He tells him about this team that he is making, which is going to lead into the future projects. Now, the next year, 2027, starts off with the TV show Wonder Girl. So this show will follow the daughter of the little girl from Wonder Woman 1984, who is obsessed with Wonder Woman and mythology because of the story her mother told her when she was a little girl. Wonder Girl goes on adventures throughout the Earth in an Indiana Jones / Tomb Raider-esque fashion, finding weapons along the way to help her until she finally fights Bloodwind, the final antagonist who actually started the expedition with her until he found the Bloodstone with this weaponry. So this show is going to be Easter egg heavy, with ancient items and relics from DC with ideas for the shards of the Rock of Eternity, the Blood Gem, the Virgin Spear of Athena, the Claw of Horus, the Tantu Totem, the Bow of Ra, etc. In the end credit, it turns out John Constantine has been watching Wonder Girl use her knowledge on ancient history and magic throughout her journey, and has taken interest in her to invite her to his Justice League Dark team. So this Wonder Girl character, at least to me, it's really interesting because I'm kind of changing it into an original character where she's not like the Wonder Girls we've seen before, and she really doesn't have any power. She's just collecting these items to make her more and more powerful. So we're going to see her be able to use all these tools, and it's going to be really cool. So the next project is going to be the Suicide Squad Family Vendetta. In this film, Mongol comes to Earth for revenge as his daughter died due to Amanda Waller at the beginning of the last Suicide Squad film, where his daughter is called Mongal. In a lot of ways, this film is reminiscent of the second to last episode of Invincible Season 1, where Waller just keeps on throwing things at the big bad but none work. So she has to send the Suicide Squad led by Peacemaker. She knows the Suicide Squad can't beat Mongol, but she needs them to find the Justice League, which Mongol has taken care of the grounded members, while Cyborg and Martian Manhunter remain in the Watchtower, and the Green Lanterns don't see what Mongol is currently doing as a great enough threat, so they kind of stay to their side. So the Suicide Squad go on a journey to find them and eventually find Superman with that parasite that Mongul is commonly known to use on Superman in the comics. So it attached to him, which makes him believe he's living another life, while other grounded members are either like Diana or Aquaman with their people, or like Flash and Batman captured by Mongul. One of the team members will be a white Martian, which allows them to enter Superman's mind and take him out of this trance. Superman then gets in a fight against Mongul, which Superman ultimately wins, and Mongul is forced to leave Earth, declaring he will return again for Amanda Waller's head. The first end credit scene shows Black Canary return home as she was able to disable the bomb in her head with her abilities, which shattered it. She goes back, calling out for Cassandra, but she's nowhere to be seen until we see a flashback scene of her getting kidnapped. The other credit scene shows Amanda Waller calling in the new team for a new mission, and she says, "Task Force X, you have a new mission operative. I need you to kill the Suicide Squad." And a picture of the Suicide Squad members, including Bloodsport, King Shark, Ratcatcher, and Harley Quinn, pops up. The next project will be Swamp Thing Season 2, where this project is going to show that the Swamp Thing show was actually part of the DCEU, which I do think it should be. I thought that show was really good, it was really interesting, and for it to just be canceled after one season, I don't think is fair. I would actually give the same person in charge of it before, Mark Verheiden, control once again. So the next project is going to be Green Lantern, which is going to be the follow-up to the Green Lantern Corps show. So this movie will be led by Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, with other Green Lanterns from the Green Lantern Corps series involved as side characters. We're also going to have Blue Beetle come in for the war when Hal Jordan comes to speak to him halfway through the film. The Sinestro Corps and the Reach are working together, and the Reach are the ones that created the scarabs that Blue Beetle has one of them. So they are working together, and the Green Lanterns must gather the other Lanterns to help in the war. The end of the film teases Sinestro hiding away on Earth as Lex Luthor finds him and tells him he has a plan to take down the Lanterns. Now the next project is going to be Scarecrow, which is another DC Black Label film, and I'm actually super excited for this one. I kind of wrote an entire story for this one that I want to write a script for down the road, so I'm not going to go too deep into it now because I think that could be a great video down the road. Or who knows, if DC ever talks to me, I would love for them to actually do this film. So this is going to be a Black Label DC movie that follows a younger take on Scarecrow with inspiration from Breaking Bad and posing Scarecrow in the light of a bullied kid from school. It resembles the story of Spider-Man in some ways, but with a darker turn into the mafia world of Gotham. So this film could potentially be isolated or could tie into the Batman universe or to the Joker universe. So either way that they choose to take it, I think that'd be really cool, and I would love to talk about this movie more in a future video, probably after Joker Folie Deux comes out. Now the next project in 2028 is Madam X Season 1. So this show will be about Madam X recruiting members to the Justice League Dark. She attempts to recruit Lucifer and other characters, but Lucifer denies, although they work together in one episode. She successfully recruits Deadman, Katana, and Onara Rashtu. The ending of show will have Constantine and Madam X speaking about this team, which X already knew about, as she was there at the end of John Constantine Season 1, and they discuss the team members they have now and who is left to recruit. The members mentioned include John Constantine, Jason Blood, which is also Etrigan, Swamp Thing, Deadman, Onara Rashtu, Madam X, Ragman, Katana, and Wonder Girl, as we see Wonder Girl, Jason Blood, and Ragman, Onara, Deadman, and Katana pop up, meaning the only member left for the team is Swamp Thing, who Madam X said she would need help, which sets up the beginning of Justice League Dark. Now the next project is Loose Cannon. I can assure you the majority of you have never heard of this character, and I basically created this idea for a Hulk film, which is never going to be done by Marvel. I don't know what they're doing with this current Bruce Banner character. So I would love to see DC do it, because I feel like DC is more likely to do a project like this, where it's going to be DC's Hulk, where he will be a scientist and seek help from multiple sources, including Madam X, but will eventually seek help from Parasite, who we don't know is Parasite until later in the film. He eventually defeats Parasite, but we see him wake up as if it was all a dream, but in a cage with massive cuffs, showing he was captured as Loose Cannon, and asks how long it has been, and the doctors say 3 to 4 years, and the film ends. So now there's a massive hole in what happened from his story between now and then. So that's going to be a big thing. I think that this story could be really cool to see. This is another one like Scarecrow that I would love to talk about more in a future project. Maybe after She-Hulk, I can talk about DC's Hulk film, I guess. And Loose Cannon is a real character in the comics, but I would change his origin a little bit to fit more with this mold of the character I want him to be. And then also for Loose Cannon, something that's pretty important is to actually make him seem like this raging Hulk figure, where he cannot control himself. I would love to have some scene similar to Moon Knight, where he's going to just lose control. He's not going to remember what happened the previous night, and he'll see it on TV as if he had killed somebody. So I think this would be a really cool character to see. This is what my take on Hulk would be, and I'll talk about it more in a future video, like I mentioned. It's going to be more brutal, so I can't wait to talk about it more. So the next project is Justice League Shattered Alliances, otherwise known as Justice League 2. So in this film, Lex Luthor is forming a team with the likes of Lex, Deathstroke, Cheetah, Black Adam, Sinestro, Black Manta, and more. So this team will start off in the distance, setting the Justice League against each other. Since Cyborg, Green Lantern, and Martian Manhunter are out in space, they will not be members of the Justice League team in this film and will instead be replaced by Blue Beetle, Hawkman, Black Canary, Cyclone, and Atom Smasher. The heroes do eventually win, but Cyclone dies, and Batman leaves the team by saying they aren't as united as he would have hoped, and that he'll form a new team to take on any threats. He doesn't trust this team anymore, and would rather train his own team in battle from the ground up instead of relying on independent heroes. This sets up the end credit where we see Batman recruiting a team called the Outsiders as he speaks with Black Canary about them, where Canary says her daughter Cassandra Cain found her way back home after being kidnapped, and she has trained enough to join the team. As she asks who else he has in mind, and some members of the team show up. The other end credit shows an assistant of Lex Luthor will be at LexCorp and go to the top secret floor and open a door where the top says Project Cadmus. She opens it, and in a birthing tube is a younger Superman wearing the Superman shirt who opens his eyes, setting up Superboy. There will then be a third end credit scene as well, where Darkseid is speaking to a mysterious man, and this man will be introduced after Darkseid is about to hang up and says, "Do not fail me, Vandal Savage." So this is going to set up Vandal Savage as an eventual villain in this universe. So at the end of Justice League 2, we will have all these characters be defeated, all the antagonists. We'll have Black Adam go back home. We'll have Deathstroke be on the run. We'll have Cheetah, Black Manta, Sinestro, and Lex be in their own respective prisons with Cheetah and Themyscira. Green Lantern will take Sinestro. Lex will be back in human prison. So we're going to have this story close off this phase, and obviously the end credits are going to set up a ton of the future projects that we have in the works. So I wanted to have 3 end credits because I feel like this is a great film to set up all of these stories. Now, it's very unusual to have 3 because I know that you probably have 1 mid-credit scene and 1 end credit scene, but I think you can do it differently, more similar to Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where it's like midway through the credits rolling, you just start showing those different scenes. So I would have those 3 scenes play out in the mid-credit, but I do think that this would be a great plan for the beginning. But honestly, what I have mentioned so far is not what I'm the most excited for. I think the next half of this 10-year plan is where it gets really exciting, because you start to see all the characters come together. You start to see what happens with the Justice League Dark, what happens with Darkseid, what happens with all of these characters, and you come to see it all come to fruition. Same way as the majority of people say Phase 3 of Marvel was the best. If I were to have proposed to you the first 2 phases of Marvel, you would have said, okay, that sounds pretty interesting. But you wouldn't have really been as excited without knowing what the next 5 years are going to be, which is what my next video is going to be. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you want to see in this universe, if you think this is a good 5-year plan, and if you're excited for the next 5 years. So please let me know. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And see you next time on Big Flick Energy.